Part 1. It was something about her smile. The way the creases in her cheeks reminded me that God must have been somewhere smiling at us from a distance. Her eyes were once lit like the midnight sky during an evening of fireworks. Something similar to a painted canvas, a splash of beauty being portrayed in the mixed shades of black and brown found dwelling in her iris that somehow captured a tiny glimpse of heaven behind the backs of her eyelids. It was the way her first name looked so good next to my last, and the way time seemed to pass, as if nobody else noticed the sunrise when she laughed. Her touch was a double-edged blade that could rip deep enough through flesh until bones started shattering, until ribcage and kneecaps began collapsing, and the thought of falling in love sounded too cliche to confess in the moment. But I remember the first time I've ever felt the world stand completely still. It happened the day she first told me she loved me. Part 2. We walked on the edges of our regrets. We flirted with temptation. I thought you were better than that. We stared at one another like we were looking into a reflection of all the things we've learned to hate about ourselves, like we couldn't stand looking at what was in front of us for another second longer. Still young then and ignorant, we told the sun to mind its own business. We thought we could travel through the darkness with just a pinky promise and a couple of crossed fingers. Our shadows became the only ones willing to carry the bones buried in our closets. Our secrets were never really secrets, more like a handful of lies disguised as first impressions pressed to the parts of our hearts that have learned to sympathize with our imperfections. We purposely forgot about our flaws, thinking that they would never catch up to us. Just because we thought we were happy didn't mean we were. Just because we thought we were in love didn't mean we were. The day she first told me she didn't feel that way about me anymore, I swear I could feel the earth growing cold, naked and exposed, like the truth we found changing in our dressing room of a conversation. And that must have been the second time that I felt the earth stand completely still. Part 3. Apparently forever was too long for her. She was in it for the moments of right now, for the tomorrow mornings, never truly satisfied. I guess the same routine gets boring. She said, I'm not telling people the whole story, but baby girl, what exactly have I been leaving out? Because when it comes down to it, it's never been about something that I said or did, but it was whatever it was that I wasn't doing, which made her want to leave. Never really knowing who or what she was yet, she set distance between us so she could have a little more time to find herself, and, well, that was as far as she cared to take this story. Part 4. Thinking of her reminds me of what happiness feels like at 3 o'clock in the morning, when the earth is still silent and all worn out from throwing its tantrums, and somewhere in between that split second, I am able to forget her long enough to fall asleep. I am only 2/3 sorry that she hates me, while the rest of me knows more about the truth than what my heart is willing to believe in. Yet still, I keep thinking maybe I could have tried harder, maybe there was something else I could have done. But still, when did relationships ever become that complicated? Part 5. What's a love story without its happy ending, right? Well, I guess we don't get to call it that anymore. I guess now we get to call it the ending of something that could have been great. We call it the beginning of something even greater. We call it life doing the both of us a favor. Another lesson learned, perhaps another mistake, potential energy we turned to waste. And it was something about her smile. It was something about the way the stars aligned in late August that year. How the universe sent us a message saying our love belongs burning outside of Earth's atmosphere. But they never mentioned time would come and send us crashing. And I wish someone would have warned me that every day that she's gone would be like this. Every day is a new reminder of an old memory, and everything's been left motionless.